Hey there, Hallmark Hot Takers, and welcome to our latest installment of Hallmark Hot Takes. Tonight we are going to be reviewing A Nashville Christmas Carol. It is a star-studded cast. It stars Jesse Schramm and Wes Brown as the leads, but Winona Judd, Kimberly Williams Paisley, Sarah Evans, Kix Brooks of Brooks and Dunn. I mean, the list goes on. It's just a crazy Nashville extravaganza.
Who's who of Nashville,
if you will. Right. So we're going to talk about this movie. So stay tuned.
And the ratings.
Oh yeah, the ratings.
There's a rating
too.
system.
But you guys know about that by now. 5 and 5 equals
5
10.
and 5
candy canes
for 10 candy canes. All right.
You're all good.
Recap coming.
Okay, so let's talk about this movie, A Nashville Christmas Carol. So first we meet Vivian, who is the producer of a show in Nashville called Country Christmas Live. Vivian is a bit of a workaholic and she likes things a certain way, and we find out that her headlining act is managed by Gavin, her former childhood best friend, who they have since parted ways about a decade before and are now coming back together. And yes, like I said before, Vivian is, she's a bit of a,
Not nice.
She's not mean. She's just very kind of bossy.
Some rough edges.
She does. She's not very nice to a lot of her employees sometimes. So she is definitely carrying a lot of baggage about the past, which triggers the ghost of Marley in the form of her mentor, Marilyn Jinway, who is played by Winona Judd. And of course, this triggers the ghost of Christmas Past, who is played by Kix Brooks of Brooks and Dunn. I mean, it's crazy. So Pat, who is the ghost of Christmas Past, takes Vivian through a few moments of her childhood, and this is where we learn a little bit more about Vivian. Her mother left when she was a young girl, and that has always been a black mark on her life, and she's tried with her father to do more with less and to make Christmases special for her young sister, and to make sure that she always was provided for. And she kind of had to grow up quick, and she had this best friend, Gavin, who they would produce these cute little movies together, and they were pretty inseparable. And Gavin grew up to, like I said, want to be a manager of a singing group. And he gets his chance with Belinda. And Belinda ends up giving him a big contract. And he had promised Vivian that if he got this contract with Belinda, he would have her produce a music video. Well, wouldn't you know, the man... Chet, who is
Wilder,
who Belinda signed with, says, we're not using no stinking amateur for this video. Right. Vivian's out.
Your little director friend.
So as you might understand, this kind of puts the skids on the friendship, and Vivian says, you know what, Gavin? We're done. He moves to LA, she stays in Nashville. And so as they're spending time together in the present now, because the whole Christmas Past thing doesn't happen all at one specific time. It's a couple different times. It's very confusing. But they're getting to know each other, and she's still a bit bitter about what happened, and it's preventing her from really moving on. And then she goes back to the past and sees it from Gavin's perspective, and what really happened was that he actually did fight for her and was told that if he didn't let it go, they'd have to find somebody else or they weren't going to give the contract. They weren't going to give the contract to his client. So, I mean, he fought really hard for her, and she didn't know that. She thought that, he betrayed her. So she forgives him, and then they move on to Christmas Present, and she finds Christmas Present, who is Kimberly Williams Paisley, and she's delightful, as you would imagine.
Always a delight.
So she shows Belinda about her present stuff with her sister that she didn't know. Her sister wants to work for her full time, and she, doesn't want her. Vivian didn't want her to because this is an unstable business, and she wants her sister to go to law school, but her sister wants to work for her because she's her hero. And she hears about some of the people that work for her that don't really like her because she's kind of a bee sometimes. and that kind of thing. And what else does she learn about the present? What am I missing about that?
No, I think that's it. That's the present.
That's the present. Anyhow, so she learns about her life, and she's got a different perspective, and she realizes that, hey, you know what? I think she does learn in the past also that Gavin was at this party that they were at that went sideways. He was going to tell her how he felt about her. Like, he's been in love with her for like a really long time. So that was new to her, and she's really feeling like she's starting to feel the same way. Unfortunately, things go sideways when the act that Gavin is in charge of gets bumped, and it's kind of like Vivian, if she doesn't bump the act, she doesn't get this promotion to do this thing in LA that she wants to do, so she has to bump the act, and it's this whole big thing. It ends up working out in the end because the acts actually do a duet together at the beginning, and it's wonderful, it's great, and she realizes they tell her there is no ghost of Christmas future because the future has not yet been written, so it can be whatever you want. So at the end of the movie, she gets the job. She says, well, that's great, but I'd like to stay in Nashville. And the guy's like, sure, the job's in LA, but just telecommute.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was fine. She got the job. Gavin was happy with his client. They tell each other how they feel about each other. They kiss, and that is A Nashville Christmas Carol.
That was a great recap
Thank you.
of that. Thank you.
I felt okay about it, but so much happened in this movie.
I can't wait to do ratings.
It's gonna be
We should do that next.
We should. Something different.
It's time for ratings.
Jay's going first.
I'm going first.
Because you might be sick of hearing me talk.
No, that's not true. All right, so pros or cons first? What do you think?
You gotta do cons.
Cons first. All right, cons first. No ghost of Christmas future. What the heck? I got ripped off here. I think they ran out of time.
They did. There was so much going on.
Or budget, because they had so many stars in this.
Who would it have been? Like Garth Brooks?
Willie Nelson, obviously. So that sucked. She gets the job, the IMA, the award show. It's in LA, but she can commute from Nashville.
It doesn't make sense.
You can't. That's not a thing. That's stupid. Chet Wilder party. That guy was such a jerk.
He was.
So this is the guy that has him not use her to produce the music videos, and it just giant jerk, which ends up ruining their whole relationships. I hated that. Things I loved. Well, actually, this is a weird thing I loved, but there's this moment where you learn about Vivian and George's past, about the mom leaving when they're 10. That's so sad.
It was.
But it was so powerful because up to that point, you're like, she is a mean, cold person, and I'm never going to care about her. And then you hear that at 10, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm in now.
And how she gave up her Christmas gifts so that her sister could have
She's like
something really cool.
Yeah, it was, wow. Heartstrings were pulled, I'll tell you that. Other amazing thing is they get into this beanbag throwing contest where he beats her with 2 bags and then wins this giant stuffed animal. It was amazing, just amazing. Another amazing thing, so while I said Chet's party was really bad, it was great when she was wearing a sweater and he said, it's an amazing ugly sweater. And it was one of those moments that wasn't an ugly, it wasn't.
He was a real a-hole.
But it was kind of an ugly sweater, but it wasn't meant to be an ugly sweater. So anytime that happens, it's fantastic. And I'll tell you, I love Pat, the Ghost of Christmas Past. He was fantastic. He had a lot of scenes in there. So that was really great. All in all, very solid movie. Not a huge country music fan, so a lot of that stuff's lost on me. But I will give it 3.5 candy canes.
Wow.
3.5 candy canes.
That's a decent rating. I gotta say, I thought you'd be a little higher. I'm surprised, but okay. All right, so let's talk about this. This is the things that I didn't like.
Yes, let's start there.
They give her, the guy from LA gives her the promotion before the show even airs. He doesn't even see what the finished product is.
What the ratings are?
Yeah. I didn't like that. The backup dancers for the final show, they're not good. And they ruined it for me. I didn't like them. That was just a distraction. And then she's talking to Gavin. Vivian's talking to Gavin. They're discussing the past, and he's kind of apologizing for not getting her this job. And she's like, hey, it's okay. You did what you had to do. I understand. But then in the next scene, she's like, he's still a rat bastard. He didn't. Yeah. It's like, well, you shouldn't have said it was okay because you clearly are not okay. This was before she figured out or found out that he did. But I was like, come on, Viv. Don't say things you don't mean. And I also at first didn't like that there was no Christmas future. But again, there just wasn't enough time because there was so much that was happening. There was like too many balls in the air. And not in a bad way. It was, I don't know. And so the things that I liked is the lead character's name was not Jess. So that was great because so many Jesses, but the actress's name was Jess. So still got in there. Loved the Ghost of Christmas Past. He was amazing. Kimberly Williams Paisley, amazing as the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Amazing.
The ugly sweater thing was hysterical.
Was
the obscenely large snowman was amazing. I really liked Wes Brown in this movie, and this is big for a huge reason, because many, many years ago, Wes Brown was a serial killer on an episode of Criminal Minds.
Oh.
And ever since then, anytime he's been in anything else, all I can see is that serial killer from Criminal Minds. This was the first movie where I saw Wes Brown, and it didn't conjure Criminal Minds. So well done, Wes Brown. And I liked the relationship between them. I thought they did a really great job of going through their history and making you realize what they meant to each other. And it was just it was just a charming movie all around. And I give it unreservedly 5 candy canes.
Oh my goodness. So that's 5 candy canes. So that brings it to 8.5. 8.5 candy canes. That's a perfect score from you. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
It's not a perfect score, dude.
From you?
Oh, I thought you said...
That's what I said. 8.5 candy canes.
So, yeah, that puts it near the top. That's one of the best ratings, but not a perfect 10. So,
no.
Anyhow.
It's no darling. I'll tell you.
It's not as darling as Christmas.
No, it's not.
So what's our... Oh, wait. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, so that is A Nashville Christmas Carol. And the next movie we will be reviewing is The Christmas House. When TV star Mike Mitchell's parents ask him to bring back a revered family tradition, he revisits the Mitchell family magic of Christmas's past.
Oh, dear.
Slightly similar.
I can't wait.
All right.
Bye.
Peace, y'all.